Hello, I'm Gary Moody, Bassoon professor at Colorado State University. Today I'd like to discuss some ways for you to prepare for this year's Colorado All-State Ensemble audition. In this video, I'm going to deal with Rubank Advanced Method Book 1, page 53, number 30. Specifically in this video, I'd like to look at the structure of the piece, looking at similar bars and how they repeat a step higher, which will help us prepare for our breathing. I've recopied the music here so that you can see the pairs, the similar pairs, laid out with one pair per line. Notice how each line steps up the pattern. This first bar has an upward leap and then jumps down, climbing a part of a scale, and then dropping an arpeggio that finishes with the first note of bar 2. This pattern is repeated up a step in bar 3 and again at 5. I find it handy to play these rhyming sections one at a time. The second bar is a descending chromatic line, which finishes with the first note of the third bar. Now notice that this first note of the third bar is the start of our first pattern, but it also serves as being the last of this one. So this note is shared, much like a townhouse would share the wall between two neighbors. Here's the descending chromatic line. It would be easy to slur all the way down into this first note of the third bar, but be careful to articulate it because otherwise, it will belong to the second bar and not be able to be ambiguous, belonging to both bars. Now, a piece like this doesn't have any long notes and it doesn't have any rests, so it's really important to figure out where we're going to breathe. Now, breathing not only lets you stay alive, but it avoids a run-on sentence. So we want to help the listener hear where these patterns are and decide where the breaths are going to be. So the question is, are the patterns bars 1, 2, 3, 4, etc.? Or are they 1, then 2, 3, then 4, 5? Now, to answer the question of which pairs of bars belong together, I go back to this note, the first note of bar 3, that I think is shared between the two patterns. If we breathed on either side of that note, it would assign that note to either the previous or the next bar, and I want to maintain its ambiguity and let it belong to both at the same time. So I'm going to breathe in the octave leap in bar 2, bar 4, etc. Besides, I think that the octave leap is going to create a bump in the melody, and the breath can sort of hide within the bump, and the listener won't mind it so much. I'm going to use the same logic in bars 14, 15, 16, 17, etc., and hide the breath in that leap up there. Now this means I'm breathing every 2 bars, and I think it's better to be able to grab a quick breath than run out of air. Now we do have a problem in bars 8 through 13 with no clear breath along the way. I'm going to play this without a breath, but if I needed one, I would actually omit notes. Now this sounds a little strange to leave notes out to make it sound better, but flute players do this all the time. If we choose them wisely, they won't be missed at all. I've shown these in parentheses. The notes are in parentheses with a breath there. I think it is more important to play with rhythmic integrity than to get all the notes. And once again, if we choose them wisely, no one will notice. Here's bars 8 through 13. Now in this copy of the music, I've arranged the bars so the breath occurs at the end of every line. This is like the way you see poetry spaced out with the end of a line finishing that phrase and taking a breath. If you ever tried to swim across a swimming pool underwater and you're not sure if you're going to make it, but then you see the edge of the pool, it's reassuring that you know you're going to make it. And sometimes it helps to be able to see the end of the line coming up and know you'll be able to make these long sections. Now, many of these notes will need to be flicked, and you can find more about flicking from one of my previous All-State videos following this link right here. However, some of these staccato notes, instead of flicking, I'm actually going to press for the full length of the note. That helps ensure that the fast note lines up with a fast flick by making it a long-held flick. Couple last things. In bars 21 and 22, there's a series of staccato notes, and it's very easy to rush through those, so keep steady. And lastly, the next to last bar outlines a B minor arpeggio, but each note in the arpeggio is preceded by a half-step lower neighbor, almost an oops, got it, oops, got it. So I want to stress the oops. It adds a little spice to the playing. I hope this video will be helpful in your preparations. If you have any questions or would like copies of this music you've seen on the screen, please feel free to send me an email. Good luck with your audition.
Thank you.